All right, good evening, everybody. You're clicked on this video because it advertised that we'll talk about AP courses. On a larger scale, we're going to talk about advanced academics in high school from the perspective of a teacher and then from some students. I have three students here with me. My name is Gabe Fain. I am the AP instructional coach, which means I help AP teachers. We'll talk about what AP means. And I'm also the GT lead teacher for Frisco, meaning I help design the curriculum for humanities and American studies, and I also teach at Heritage as well. So there are two audiences for this presentation. There are students and then there are parents. So we're going to have two different kinds of answers for things. At first, since this is geared towards 8th graders becoming 9th graders, some basic terminology. An AP or an advanced course are things you sign up for that are taught at an advanced level, and they're different from the on-level classes. For an incoming 9th grader, you'll probably only see one AP possibility on your schedule, and that'd be AP Human Geography. Your other advanced courses would actually have that label ADV after the name, so it'd be like English 1 Advanced. You might have heard something called Pre-AP in the past. That was an old label that has been replaced by ADV or Advanced, mainly due to some copyright with the College Board, who wanted to sell a curriculum called Pre-AP, and Frisco feels that our Pre-AP courses, now called Advanced, are just as good and we don't need to pay for it. So now that those little acronyms are out of the way, students watching this have traditionally wanted to know about an AP or an advanced course. How much work is it? Are these courses harder? And then lastly, most importantly, can I have a life? They see all these opportunities to do things in high school, and they don't want to just be stuck in a book. Parents, different audience, have different concerns. You guys want to know what colleges want to see on a transcript. Then as a parent, you want to know if your kid can handle it. You want to know what do you need to do or how involved you should be. In fact, you might not know or might not want to know how involved you should be, but I think it's going to be interesting for you to hear from these students when they talk about, as freshmen, maybe the kind of push and pull that they had from their parents as they kind of got acclimated to high school. So that'll definitely be something covered later. One of the first questions sometimes students ask counselors is, how many advanced or AP courses should I take? And rather than just give you a personal opinion, we did some research. There was a study done in 2018, over 400,000 students across the country. And the purpose of the study was to figure out how many AP classes did a student need to take for there to be a better college outcome. And college outcome here, it means two things. It means your freshman year GPA, and then you're graduating college in 4 years, versus some who take 6 years and don't even leave college being called a doctor, right? So this study looked at the number of AP courses and exams, because every AP course ends in a national exam to kind of certify if you're working at a college level or learning at a college level. The hypothesis would be the more AP classes you take, the better you would do in college, since an AP course is at a college level. But what the study actually showed is that the biggest boost in college success came from a student who took 0 AP courses and then moved up to 1 to 2. That was the biggest improvement in first-year college GPA and graduating in 4 years. For the rest of the study, they noticed that that improvement continued until you reached about 4 to 6 AP exams. And this is over a high school career, not just in 1 year. So once you reach that magic number of 6 AP courses and exams in your 4 years of high school, the data shows there's no marked improvement in how you're going to do in college, right? So what this tells me as a teacher is students need to select the AP courses that are most in their field of interest, most likely to be something they'll pursue in college, rather than trying to blanket their schedule with every possible AP exam out there, if the goal is to be successful in college. So thinking about as a student then, if I pick the ones that I think I'm going to be the best at or the ones that I like the most, what do I need to do once I'm in there? You'll see the word willingness a lot. One thing a teacher looks for in an AP student is they want to be in the class. So you want to be willing to engage with things that are difficult. And since they will be difficult, you'll notice under number 1 that there are 2 places where you're required to ask questions or seek help. Sometimes in middle school, that's not something students do because they fear being made fun of. But in an AP class, you'll probably be among more than one person that has the same question. So vocalize it so you can do good. Because number two, you're going to notice that the standards are higher because you're taking college level classes. That means the assessments are different. More writing versus multiple choice. More questions that are open-ended or have more than one right answer. The pace is going to be markedly different. It's going to be faster. So if the class is moving faster from topic to topic and you don't ask questions on that topic, you might be left behind. So communication is important. Workload. There's no true way to figure out exactly how much homework you will have based on all your classes. So this is just a guide based on asking and talking to some students. But you're going to have homework, something you didn't have much in middle school. In your freshman year, you probably will have combined 30 to 50 pages a week of reading. Maybe not every week, but maybe averaging out. If you think about reading a novel and reading some of a social studies text, how would that average out nightly with your math classes and your science classes and your foreign language? Probably about an hour to an hour and a half. And as you can see with the asterisk, this is probably going to increase when you become a junior and a senior as you take more AP courses and more difficult courses at that, like chemistry. We also want you to take a test at the end of the year to see, do you meet that college standard? That test determines if you possibly get college credit. It's taken in May, and it's not graded till the summer. And it's not graded by your teacher. It's graded by other people that I'll talk about in a second. So teachers then, at an AP course, have a different responsibility. They need to teach you as if you're in college, but they need to realize that you're a high school student. So there's this idea of teachers creating balance. So hopefully you try to create balance in your life. We want you to be high school students and engage in all that stuff, but you've taken a challenge to be a college student, or at least with college content at the same time. So we want growth. We want you to move from where you were in August to being college level in May. And notice on this very expensive clip art that there's some ups and downs here. There'll be some periods where things are harder and you might go down, but we still want you to go up. Because these classes are more difficult, there is what's called a GPA boost for taking an AP class. Frisco uses a 6-point grade point scale. So an AP course, if you make 100 in it, could get you the 6 points. What I want you to notice from this chart is that the 90 in an AP course is worth 100 grade point wise in a non-level course. And then the advanced courses, which are most what you would take in your freshman year, are worth a 5-point boost. So a 90 is like a 95. Dual enrollment are classes mostly open to juniors and seniors where you would take a course on Collin College and it would count as college credit, and it's got a little bit of a GPA boost as well. So know that the rigor of your classes will be rewarded with that boost. But if you see an 87 on a report card, B does not mean bad, because 87 is worth a 97 in the rigor of the class you're used to from middle school. So these tests I talked about, you're going to be asked to register and pay for them in October of your freshman year. This year is a little different with COVID. Students aren't paying until February, but normally it's an October payment for a test in May. That's your commitment to work hard for the money your parents are spending. These tests are about 2 to 3 hours long. They have 2 sections, a multiple choice and then writing or problem solving if it's a math class. And these tests are scored in June by teams of college professors and AP teachers. Again, these tests are created not by Frisco, and they're not graded by Frisco. So we know what they're about, we know the standards, and we teach towards getting you successful on those. They're scored from a 1 to 5, not from a 0 to 100. Notice it doesn't say pass. Okay. These are predictors of how successful you would be in the same college course. So when a college sees your transcripts and they see 2s and 3s versus 4s and 5s, if that 2 was a freshman class, that might be looked at differently than if it was a senior class. And just to give you kind of a sampling, AP Human Geography is the only AP course open to freshmen. And in the state of Texas, if you're a public institution like Texas Tech, Texas A&M, By law, anything 3 or higher has to be accepted for credit hours or replacement for these courses you see on the right. You'll notice at the very bottom that Rice and Harvard, two kind of elite private schools, they don't award credit because they want you to take courses with the Harvard professor. And to be honest, I'd like you to take a course with a Harvard professor versus a Frisco professor, right? So different schools have different standards, different courses they'll replace, and really you do the research to figure that out. What AP scores do for you is they help with the application and acceptance process as well. So it's not only about getting credit in college, it's about having that resume to show you can handle the college rigor. They're not free. Your average test, which is not something called AP Capstone, which is a different part of the AP program, they're $94 a piece. There are reduced fees if you're free or reduced lunch. And just to kind of give you the idea of why would you pay that much for a test, you're trying to save money now for a course later. So $94 now to save $2,200 for tuition and fees of 3 hours at UT Austin. So you know what's coming. Your junior year is when you'll take the most AP tests. The average is about 4, but you could take 6. So that bill in October of your junior year is pretty high. So that's something families need to prepare for. So I've talked a lot, and now it's time to bring some of the students in. What we're going to do is ask them a series of questions, really geared towards students at first, and then parents when we get towards the bottom. First question is going to be, what benefit do you think these classes have? These are seniors, so they've applied to colleges. Some have been accepted, some are waiting. So you need to hear about what these got for them in that process. Second question is back to thinking about their freshman year to now, is how do they handle the workload that I just scared everybody watching this video with? Then what do they struggle with, and how do they get better from that struggle? I like to call the fall of your freshman year the freshman freakout fall, because it's going to be so different from what you're used to in 8th grade. Students and parents, you want to really pay attention to how they address number 4, what they need from their parents, because they've been there and they've done that. And then lastly, speaking directly to an 8th grader watching this, what advice would you give someone thinking about enrolling in, oops, I didn't change that, the advanced or AP class? So I'm going to take these questions off the screen and I'm going to put their faces on, and then I'm going to let them introduce themselves. So if you guys could mic on. And I'll start with Sophie. Just introduce yourself and kind of tell us, what AP courses you remember.
Hello, my name is Sophie and I'm a senior. The most memorable AP classes I've taken are the physics AP classes, the computer science AP classes, and the calc and statistics one.
Okay. Next.
Hi, my name is Samhita, and some of the biggest AP classes that I liked was AP Biology because I want to go in a biology major. And outside of just AP classes, I also like playing the violin and playing with my dog and just being, watching TV and being at home.
And that was a good point I forgot to mention is I want you guys to also say, what do you do as far as like extracurricular things? Because we don't want people at home to think all you do is live inside a book. So thank you for mentioning violins and such. Sophie, what other things do you do with school before I get to Will?
I also have some extracurricular activities after school, such as computer science club, Gadget Girls, and I'm also participating in ACDEC.
Okay. Samita, what about you?
Like Sophie, I'm also participating in ACDEC this year and last year. And I also like to be in a tutoring club that I've been doing for quite a couple of years now, and it's one of my favorite things to do.
Thanks. And last but not least, Will, introduce yourself and give us the rundown.
I am Will. Possibly my most memorable AP class was physics and biology. Two of one I really did like and one I did struggle with quite a bit. And outside of AP classes, I am in choir, and I do play the piano.
All right, thanks. So let's start off with the first question. It's a little different doing this in Zoom format, so we'll probably have the same problems you see on TV with people interrupting and talking over each other. But let's just start off with whoever wants to take this. What do you feel is the benefit of taking advanced classes in high school? Who wants it?
I'll take this one, I
Thanks,
guess.
Will.
AP classes definitely do have the benefit of discipline. After taking them for a while, you do learn how to pace yourself, and it is definitely probably the most important life skill that it gives you.
Okay, thank you for that. Samita or Sophie, do you have anything you'd want to add?
Yes, actually, I agree with Will. You learn a lot to be able to pace yourself in certain things. And I also think that a great benefit is being able to stimulate your brain to be able to learn these different topics in a setting that's like school, so you know what's going on. And you're surrounded by people that want to do the same thing as you and learn these things, so you just feel comfortable while learning hard things.
Great. So if you have anything to add, if you don't, I can move to the next question. Don't feel like you have to repeat. Nope, there's a no. All right. So I'll start off the first question then to Sophie. Knowing that there's a lot more challenges, how do you handle the workload in these classes? Think back to your freshman year, possibly. Maybe not if you weren't handling it well then. Maybe now.
So since high school is A day and B day, like alternating days, I would record down the assignments in like an agenda and divide it up into portions. If the work is like long term, like a project or like a long test, I would plan it out and do the whole thing by sections. If it's like a reading, like a 30 to 50 page reading, I would read a certain amount of pages a day. This way I would have high quality work and notes and not be overwhelmed.
So pacing it out, spreading the workload out. Good suggestion. Samita, what about you?
I actually want to talk about other than the workload, as in taking a break, like Sophie mentioned, especially since a lot of people start their homework right after school. I found that taking a break by either watching TV or going on a walk before starting the work allows you to have a fresher mind to be able to complete things faster. So I really recommend that.
That's a good point. You're not a machine. Sometimes you need to power down, let your brain rest, and do something you enjoy, or you won't be handling it. You'll go on overload. Will, how about you? Anything to add to that?
Actually, to that point, if you feel burned out while doing a series of assignments, say for one class, sometimes it is advantageous to switch to a different subject. Maybe not take a break if you feel like you're on a time crunch or something, but sometimes even if you're not done with that assignment, sometimes just vary it so you're able to get multiple things done at a certain amount of time.
I don't know about you guys, but I never successfully crammed anything. When I was tired, if I tried to cram, it didn't fit. So I would just go to bed, and in the morning, do a little bit of cramming when my brain was awake. I think the all-nighters that are kind of mythically talked about are a waste of time, but that could just be me. So now let's get to some kind of personal stories from your freshman year. What your biggest struggle was. Really think back to freshman year, because this is who our audience is, and how did you overcome that? I'll start with Will, since he spoke last.
Okay. Probably my biggest challenge was pacing myself, honestly. Freshman year, I kind of let everything stack up until one specific day or the weekend, and I was in a procrastinating mentality quite a bit. I think a lot of freshmen are. But you have to remember, it really does stack up at one point, and it is not efficient to cram it all at once. So,
do you think the A and B day kind of compounds it?
It depends whether you're saving everything for the weekend or for the day tomorrow.
So what do you guys think about that? Should you do A day homework on A day, or should you do it on the B day before the A day? What's worked well for you guys?
Personally, I tried to do the A-day homework the day I get it. So A-day homework on A-day and B-day homework on B-day. But I've always like messed up the cycle somehow. And I would just do like B-day, like homework before it's due and stuff like that. So it could work for some people. Personally, it didn't work for me. But as long as you don't keep both days of homework for one day, you should be okay. Just choose a day to do the homework and you should be fine.
So have a consistent system. That sounds like wise advice. So, Sophie, what did you struggle with most your freshman year?
I would overwork a lot. Like as soon as I receive like any assignment, I would want to get it done the day it was assigned, which hurt me a lot because I would get stressed out at those due dates and my priorities were really skewed. So instead of studying for like a major test, I would work on like a little insignificant homework. So when I realized this was not the most effective approach, I got an agenda and started dividing the work up into a portion every single day.
So an old school agenda where you wrote things down in a book?
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else have one of those?
Yes, actually. I mean, I tried multiple ways again. I tried to keep an old school agenda and online, and I found online was easier just because you could copy paste stuff. But yes, actually, I was going to talk about organization, and I
Go for
think
it.
it's a really good thing to do as well.
So give us some of those. Why organization? Were you very unorganized as a freshman?
Yeah, the greatest difficulty I had was organization because, especially since it was such a eighth grade and ninth grade is such a big change because we got more homework than usual and we had to figure out how high school works and everything. It caused me to procrastinate and be confused about everything. So I just kind of kept a journal or agenda online or in person, and I just kind of put the work down, and that way I could refer back to what I have to do so I can prioritize my work, like Sophie said. It really helps. For sure.
Great. All right. Thanks, guys, for that. That's some good advice. The fourth question, and this is where you need to be honest. Your parents aren't watching, right? What do you need from your parents to help you succeed? Let's go with Will.
The kind of accord my parents unspokenly struck with me was that they would ease off, and that really did help because as a student, you just need to learn how to swim. You can't just be a fish out of water being held by the fisherman the whole time. Um, so you really do, and it doesn't have to be like an immediate throw you into the water and good luck. It should be a slow, steady, ease off the gas kind of thing because I know parents can sometimes be mildly obsessive about their students' grades and the work, and they must have everything turned in. Um, but it's just better to know that your student can handle it. They just have to learn how.
Sophie, anything to add to that? No? Samita?
Yeah, so I both disagree and agree with Will. As in, I think it is a slow ease off of the gas, but since we're talking to ninth graders, I think that communication between students and parents is pretty important because I wish, like, my parents, I didn't, like, hide things, like, not in a bad way, but just, like, I wish I shared more about what I was doing in my school and, like, what I was accomplishing. And I feel like if you had that type of communication, they could help you reach your goals. But then I also agree with Will, like you need to learn how to be independent on your own as well, especially when you go to college, especially if you're going to stay in a dorm and not with your parents, you're going to be independent. So I think that having communication in the beginning and then easing off the gas, exactly like Will said, is really important.
I would also like to elucidate that point. I did not mean like they just ease off entirely. I think it is very healthy to keep them posted and keep the communication going between them so that if you do need help, you are able to receive it at a moment's notice.
Would you guys want your parents to reach out directly to a teacher, or would you want them to talk to you before talking to the teacher? I see heads shaking. Why?
Uh, I guess the connotation of them talking to a teacher is a little worse because it cuts you out of the element, and you aren't able to improve over your own, even if you had genuinely made a mistake and not turned in an assignment or something. It feels better for them to communicate with you directly.
Okay. So it's not that you don't want them talking, you just want to be part of the conversation and therefore part of the solution. Great. Good advice. Anyone else have anything to add about parents? All right. So our final question, and I'll let each of you speak on this, is imagine you're talking directly to an unsure eighth grader sitting in the audience, thinking about next year. What advice would you give them if they're on the fence about taking advanced or AP courses? And I'll go with Sophie first.
Don't be scared to try out challenging courses, because as long as you try your best, your efforts will definitely be reflected in your grade. And make sure to not procrastinate, because the classes do move at a slightly quicker pace. So make sure you stay on track.
Okay. Samita.
Same as Sophie, don't be afraid of even trying the course. Try it, because it might seem like a huge workload and hard concepts, and I'm not going to lie, they are. But the teachers, especially developing that teacher-student relationship, is really important, because they're there to help you, and because they're super flexible and they want you to learn and be happy. So they would definitely do whatever they can to help you. Also, another piece of advice I would give is try to make friends in your class. I know it can be hard, but they're really helpful when you want to study together for a test, or if you have any questions you don't want to bother your teacher about, you can just ask them and, think things through. So I really recommend making some friends in that class you can talk to.
And lastly, Will.
I really do recommend for an eighth grader incoming to take an AP course, at least try it as well. It does seem like a huge workload, but the teachers, number one, they're there for you, and number two, you can always drop to an on-level class if you need to. I would not recommend it. I would recommend that if you're going to commit to something like this, do it to the best of your ability, but don't stress too much. You can always pace yourself, and if need be, schedule changes can be made.
And to just kind of clarify Will's point, you can switch out of AP to on-level at the end of the first 6 weeks of a semester. But from that point forward, after that first 6 weeks, you have to stay for the entire semester. So do your best in that first 6 weeks so you really get a feel for how the workload is when you're really trying. If you don't have your foot on the gas at all, you don't really know what you can do. Okay. And, think about the word balance a lot. You're going to want to take every course, be in every club, do every sport, play in every band, and you've got to figure out how many hours in the day there are, how many hours of sleep you need, and then what you can fit in around that. Okay. And you have 4 years of high school, so you don't have to take everything your freshman year. Okay. Get your toe in the water and then jump in when you're ready. And on that note, I believe that was our last slide. So I'm going to thank these guys for joining me this evening, taking their time after school. And hopefully this makes it to the internet and answers some of your questions about the 2021-22 school year. Thanks for watching, and thanks again, guys.